now listening to the Zay Moore Podcast.
I want to know what Zay thinks
There's a
about
few
that.
things that we got to address.
Black people got the swag. Black people set the trends. We are the culture. We got a reality star for our president. It's insane. Even if they try to erase black history out of schools, it's not going to erase black history. Because we've been here. Kendrick Lamar definitely beat Drake in that battle. Hands down. At the end of the day, I'm going to keep it real with my people. Because if we don't keep it real with each other, who will?
What's going on, y'all? You already know who it is. I shouldn't have to introduce myself by now, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's your boy, Zay Moore. Yeah, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Zay Moore Podcast, y'all. Today is August 17th, and we got a few things to unpack. We are definitely going to go over Trump's decision or his move. Yesterday he did the press conference announcing he was putting the MPD under federal control out in D.C. We're going to go over the mayor's response to that. And again, just talk a little bit more about why this isn't a good idea. We won't spend too much time on it because we talked about it yesterday, but this is definitely something that we should follow. So we'll get into it. We're also going to talk about rapper DTB, Dominant Body. Shout out to Dominant Body. She signed with 1501, Carl Crawford. If you guys know anything about Carl Crawford, of course, he was behind Megan Thee Stallion's early days. You know the story there. He's also worked with Erica Banks, a few other people. The internet is divided, though, because some feel like this is a good idea, some feel it's not, based on how he's handled some of his prior dealings with artists. So we're going to get into that, talk about that a little bit. But either way, congrats to DTB. Some people has it. You know, you can just tell some people got it, and she definitely has it. So I hope she does well with it. But that and a few other things in store on the docket today. So, how y'all feeling? Yeah. Sound like y'all ready for me to get the show started. So let's start with the topics, guys. So let's go over the federal takeover of the MPD, right? So just to recap. On August 11th, 2025, President Trump invoked Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act, declaring a public safety emergency and placing the Metropolitan Police Department under temporary federal control. He also deployed 800 National Guard troops to the city to support law enforcement efforts. The takeover is scheduled to last up to 30 days unless extended by Congress. So we went over this yesterday and went over why this wouldn't be a good idea. So here we are today. The Washington Post and The Guardian is reporting that Mayor Bowser described Trump's actions as unsettling and unprecedented, emphasizing the gravity of a federal takeover of local police authority. Though opposing the move, she stated that the city would comply with the law, acknowledging that the Home Rule Act grants the White House temporary emergency powers over MPD. And I got a little inch of what she was saying this morning while she was on the Breakfast Club. And she just went over a lot of basically of what we know, right? Based on what's out there, that the numbers don't justify this action. The crime is at its lowest it's been in about 30 years. And she wasn't even made aware. She had an inkling, she did say, but she didn't know full-fledged that this was going to go down the way it did. She also talked about the federal presence affecting normal life for residents, and she just hoped that this wouldn't interfere with the relationship that the people have now, built with the MPD. I also have here in my notes that she added a little more context to his motive, right? Why he might be doing this. She mentioned the crime rate during the pandemic, which we know during then wasn't so great. But even still, right, if the numbers are showing that things have improved, then why deploy the National Guard? It still just doesn't make sense when we're looking at the numbers and how hard DC has worked to get to those numbers. Also, more interestingly, they discussed the trend of this only happening in urban areas. I believe it happened in LA. Now it's happening in DC, but so far, they also talked about the potential of this happening in other other city or urban areas like New York. So Also, it's important to note that all of those urban areas do have black mayors. Of course, she went on to say that she didn't want to speak too much on the racial undertone of things, but generally and obviously, we see here that this move is not being perceived well. But I gotta say, after seeing her interview on the Breakfast Club, they have a great mayor. I feel like they have great leadership. There's just something about her. She's obviously gonna comply, work with the federal people, but to just have someone come in and overstep their boundary, I could only imagine could be kind of frustrating. You feel me? But she seems like a great mayor, and again, right? She's worked with officials to get the crime rates down, as we see in these numbers. So I feel like DC is in good hands, and hopefully the federal officers will step in and do what's right. Because Trump made a statement during the press conference. He said, they're going to be allowed to do their job. Then he went on to tell a story, which I think is really fabricated, about he's seen multiple videos of people spitting in police officers' faces and they're not able to do anything. Now they're able to do whatever they want. Now they're able to do whatever they want, right? It's kind of scary because we already know how unhinged some of these police officers can be. So again, this story is very, very important to follow, right? I have friends out in DC. I'm not from DC, but I'm from New York. So growing up, I frequently traveled the DMV area. So yeah, y'all just keep your eye on this story. Of course, I will keep my eye on it for you, but don't let this story go under the carpet. I think it's definitely something that we want to watch very closely. Okay, guys, so in other news, rapper Dominant Body, yes, DTB, has signed with 1501 Certified Entertainment, and the hip-hop community has reacted with mixed feelings, y'all. The division stems largely from the label's complicated past and its high-profile legal battle with Megan Thee Stallion. So let's talk about why the internet is split, right? So again, 1501's track record with artists headed by Carl Crawford, of course. We know, again, he was famously involved with the legal dispute regarding Megan Thee Stallion, sued him back in 2021, accused him of blocking her from releasing music. That, of course, was settled in 2023. Megan's battle actually then brought more skepticism because artists like Hardy Boy Pig, criticized the label, accusing it of stifling releases, withholding earnings, and operating inconsistently, as reported by Hip Hop DX. So many fans are kind of worried, right? Seeing signing with 1501 as risky based on all of this. And then there's the female aspect of it. His label seems to largely invest in female artists. So there's that, right? But there's optimism, and it is kind of validated based on the past of the label. But on the flip side, some people, including me, right, are seeing this as a strategic move for DTB, aligning herself with this label that is known for discovering someone like Megan Thee Stallion. Could be a big opportunity, right? It's definitely going to open doors, put eyes on her. As we see now, Meg is aligned with Roc Nation. She doing her thing. So if I was DTB, I would definitely use this as a stepping stone, strategically. And I'm not going to throw shade on Carl Crawford or 1501, right? But I haven't seen anyone who's been signed to to the label, stay with them and flourish, right? So who knows, right? Maybe DTB will be the one where he can really lock in on the business and use her talent to put 1501 on the map as a more creditable label. You want people to think of your label and think of music, right? Right now, the talk around 1501 is basically lawsuits and BBLs. So we definitely want to shift it back to the art, back to the music. And hopefully he can do that with DTB, but congrats to DTB. yeah, that's pretty much it, right? Pretty easy, pretty quick, right? I didn't keep y'all long today. How'd y'all enjoy the show? Yes, we went over DC being taken over by the Federals, and again, congrats to DTB on signing to 1501. Pretty quick and easy show today. I want to remind y'all before I let you go to follow me at the ZayFiles_ on Instagram, at the Zay Moore Podcast on Instagram, and be on the lookout for the merch website, y'all. The website is in the works. I'm working with some dope designers, online web designers, and it's just going to be a one-stop shop. So I can't wait to reveal that to y'all. But yeah, stay tuned for all that and more, y'all. And of course, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Zay Moore Podcast today. And until next time, peace.